Okay, we are live, and let me go live on Instagram as well.
Just waiting for some people to come on.
And waiting for the stream
it's been
to
a while.
upload. Here we go.
So
Instagram is live.
nice.
Okay, and now I'm going to go and turn on the other live.
Hello, everybody. It's been a long time since I've done a live, probably a year. And I'm a little nervous because I used to do lives all the time. And to give you guys some background, I started just by posting on Facebook. I was a public school teacher 5 years ago in California, and the mainstream media was lying to the American people, telling the American people that there was no critical race theory in our public schools. And I started anonymously posting on my Facebook as Collie. I think it was just like Collie Eitz.
Yes.
I used my middle name.
Yes, instead of the whole thing.
Yeah, instead of the whole thing. And I was just typing out, hey, this is what's going on in our public schools. I'm in them and giving screenshots of what was going on. And then Joshua and I, we started, and then I finally came out as who I am. I started sharing, hey, I'm Kali Fontanilla, and I was still a teacher in the public schools. And then I started getting censored a lot. And we were doing lives pretty regularly, especially during 2020 and all of the insanity. But
we got scene part 2.
Yeah, we got censored a lot. I don't know if you guys remember 2020 and how bad the censorship was, but you couldn't even say the word stolen election in the same sentence. You couldn't say the word C-19 and vaccine without being severely censored.
Mm-hmm.
You couldn't even suspect that C-19 came from a lab in China.
Mm-hmm.
What else were we censored on? You couldn't share any side effects for the poke. I still am scared to talk about these things.
I know.
Apparently it's a little better right now, but if you're joining on YouTube, just so you guys know, I have been demonetized and censored on YouTube for the past almost year. I've lost maybe 3,000 followers since I was demonetized. And they said that they demonetized me for reused content, basically saying that I take other people's content and post it.
Which
when
she's never
every
done.
video is of me.
Never done.
And so I've been demonetized on YouTube for the past year, and they've been censoring me there, and I've been losing followers. So I haven't been posting as much there, but we are moving. And in our move, we are going to be building a studio to be able to do more lives. I am not letting them win. I'm not letting them silence my voice. And I do think that there is a hole right now for people that are just talking about what's going on in the news, that aren't being paid to push narratives. And yes, that happens on our side.
Yes, it does.
And we want to make a commitment to you guys to do more lives with you. And I love having a discussion with everyone and having you guys here. So welcome. This is my husband, Joshua. I do so much better with him because I like to have conversations, and I just am way more relaxed around him. So thank you for being here. We want to discuss 3 things. The first thing is what's going on right now, which is BLM Summer of Love starting up like 2020. And it's happening in LA right now, and it's over ICE being there. And it's crazy because the mainstream media is again covering for the riots that are happening in LA right now. They're just beginning to pop off. This is feeling a lot like Black Lives Matter when the riots just started to pop off.
Yeah.
And the mainstream media kind of fuels it.
Notice how they waited till the summer?
Yes. And notice how the mainstream media really covers the ICE people, they're like showing them in their worst light possible. And they're trying to evoke a lot of emotion right now. There's a video of a family of immigrants where the dad was just deported, and it's the kids and the mom's about to get deported, and they're crying.
Sob stories.
Yeah, sob stories, which we didn't hear last year when Biden deported almost a 250,000 people, or more than 250,000 people.
Of course.
So we've got some stuff going on. And Joshua's really worried about this right now.
Yeah. The LA riots, if you're not on Twitter, you're probably getting one side of it.
Yeah.
Depending on what you see in the media. I will tell you, if you have any liberal friends, what they're seeing is crazy. Because what they're seeing is, Yeah, what we're seeing on Twitter, you can see both sides, or X, whatever you want to call it. You can see both sides to it. You can see the craziness. You can see the like cars burning and people, blocking federal buildings. But you can also see there's Black Hawk helicopters flying over, and they just approved they're sending Marines in, 2,000 National Guard. So the liberal media is of course going to paint a picture that this is Trump being a totalitarian, all that kind of stuff, and I'm a bit worried that we're going to fall into the left's trap, so to speak. I mean, I don't know how many of you are familiar with, and don't misunderstand me, I'm not comparing these things because they're not even close to the same, but if you're familiar with the Civil Rights Act or the Civil Rights era, you know what MLK's strategy was. He went to an area where he knew that the local police force would overreact on purpose because he wanted to get, it was all staged. He wanted to get pictures and video of his supporters getting hit and, the dogs on him. It was on purpose. Like, the whole civil rights era thing, a lot of it was was staged. It was strategic, right? And I think that's what's happening now. And I'm like, I don't know. We talked about this. You kind of go back and forth. Like, part of me is thinking, yes, crack down, take it. But the other part of me is like, I don't think you're going to be able to solve it in California on this issue by just brute force. And I think you might be playing into the left's hands.
Well, again, the mainstream media is not on Trump's side. So remember during Black Lives Matter, the summer of love, when they injured 700 police officers, including a police horse. That's when I was like, I am done. This is satanic. This did not get covered by the mainstream news, but it was on Twitter. They threw a brick at the nose of a police horse and broke its nose. They also killed a police dog. We didn't hear all this in the mainstream news because they weren't covering it. In fact, remember the story that they were covering? They were covering the story of the old man that got pushed over by, well, he was pretty old, but some old white liberal that got kind of pushed over by a police officer. And that story was like blown up in the news. It was like some, wobbly old man, like walking like Biden, who you barely blow and he would fall over, right? And that was covered by the news extensively. Yet they were covering up all of the intense riots that were happening, barely covering it. I had to go on Twitter to get the real news during that time. And even when they were covering it, they were saying it was mostly peaceful, and they're doing that again now. So Harry Sisson, you know who that guy is. I don't know if you know who. Oh, you can't really see, but that white young paid kid,
the Democrat kid.
Yeah. He just did a tweet saying, breaking, the National Guard has begun to arrive in Los Angeles, even as the city is quiet. And the LAPD says protests have remained peaceful. Lie, right? This tweet was peaceful. 5 hours ago. Yeah. They already were being violent.
Yeah.
Trump's overreaction is going to get people hurt. Stay safe, everyone. So that's what they're going to call this. They're going to say Trump is overreacting. Yes. He's bringing in the military, he's showing that he's a dictator. And this is what they want. So Joshua's arguing that maybe we should just leave them alone because LA wants illegals.
And not fully leave them alone. Yeah. Like, by the way, if you guys want both sides, or if you want a really good coverage on this, like all of the coverage, I recommend on X, follow a guy named Anthony Cabasa.
Oh, yeah, he's great.
That's CABASSA _.
Yeah.
So shout out to Anthony. He's an independent journalist, and he's got the footage. He's on the ground right now. So good stuff.
They're also showing video of pellets. There's pallets of bricks right now, just like during BLM. They're like wrapped bricks that are right near the protesters getting ready to go off tonight. There's Molotov cocktails being made and thrown at ICE agents or police or whoever is trying to stop the protesters. They're already shutting down highways.
They shut down the 101.
Cars.
We're from California, so like we used to drive the 101 all the time. It's the highway that goes up and down the state, and to hear that the 101 has been shut down is crazy.
They're forming human chains around.
Kevin.
They're forming human chains around ICE detention centers or ICE centers. And this is all just so ridiculous because
they're throwing rocks at the ICE cars as they drive by, throwing like pieces of cement at them. It's, yeah.
This is also ridiculous because during Obama, when he did millions of deportations without due process, the left didn't pop off like this at all. And this was for 8 years.
Yeah.
It's all by design. It's all extremely manipulated. And this is where it's all manipulation. And this is where it's so important to not let the mainstream
Sorry.
media pick
Cat's
and
acting up.
choose what you're supposed to care about. So anyways, that's our update on, we wanted to talk about three things. We wanted to talk about the LA riots. Oh,
can
do
I
you
give
have anything
my,
more?
well,
Yeah.
I just want to give my take on what I think should actually happen, or, you know, dealing with California here. Like, I get it, the idea of cracking down and, you know, sending in, you know, 20,000 National Guard instead of the 2,000 that they're sending in. I get it. But honestly, I think the time for that was during the summer of love in 2020. They should have cracked down then, and they didn't. I understand why they didn't, because it was an election year. But I think this issue, it's much harder to crack down on, because with Black Lives Matter, it was like, all right, you're dealing with a portion of the Black population, which is already a small percentage of the whole U.S. population, like 12%, right? And some liberals who like kind of care, and they're really just out there to kind of look cool, right? And it was a lot of kids robbing, looting. It was horrible, right? But it wasn't like, I mean, how many people were actually being affected by the policies that oppose? I mean, how many people get shot by a cop per year? The number is tiny, right? It was like we want to riot and we want to, when you're dealing with, okay, what's happening now is the proposition, let's get rid of tens of millions of illegals, which I think we should. Now, imagine you're talking about a state like California with millions and millions of illegals there, right? Those people have something to lose. Do you see what I'm saying with the difference between 2020? Like, if you were someone who was on the side of Black Lives Matter, you were just on the side of it. You weren't like, okay, if I don't say something, I'm going to get deported, right? Like, these people, they're fighting to stay in the U.S. and not go back to a third world country. They have nothing to lose. Like, it's either like and I'm not agreeing with them, right? I think they should leave and be deported, but understand their perspective. You got to understand your enemy's thought process. They have much more to fight for. And in California, that cause is very popular. You are not going to convince, we're from California. We left because that state's horrible. Like, it's full of liberals. There's so many of them there. It's not going to be popular to try and remove. So what I'm saying is, like, that state it's a train wreck.
It's also extremely segregated. It's one of the most, it is, New York and California are two of the most segregated states in America right now.
Go out
They
to dinner
have
in
the
California.
most segregated schools.
Yeah.
And so it's like there's whole pockets
Yeah.
of illegals there.
We-
Huge
we
pockets.
traded
Yes.
we traded black slaves for brown slaves. You know, all the crops are picked, and all of the restaurants are served, and all the service work is all done by Mexicans.
The last time I was in California was Santa Barbara, and I was in this nicer restaurant because I was doing a speaking engagement and they were paying for my food, and I normally don't go to really nice restaurants. But anyways, I was in this nice restaurant, and pretty much everyone who was eating was white, and not a single person that was serving or working in the kitchens was white. It was all Mexicans. And you can see that everywhere in California, where there's this whole, like, see, here in Florida, there's diverse workers. Like, when we go out to eat, we get like all kinds of people serving. Actually, it's mainly white women that we get as our waitresses and waiters. But you go to California in certain areas, and you will, the whole restaurant will be run by Mexicans.
Yep.
And it's not a predominantly Mexican population in that area.
It's like slavery again, except it's just Mexicans instead of black people.
I was just sharing the story about how about 7 years ago, I was in the car with a white liberal. I won't say who, but it was a family member. Anyways, they were looking out the window at the field workers, and there was all of these, brown workers hunkered down, harvesting lettuce or something. This is in California. And she was like, I'm just so grateful to them. I'm so grateful for all of these illegals who are willing to do our hard work. And I remember being kind of this is like when I was first kind of I mean, I wasn't fully like on the right yet. I definitely had left the left, but I was kind of like getting more disgusted with the left at this point. And I was like, why would you say that?
They want their
I'm
little
like,
workers.
that is just like,
Yeah.
oh, I guess slavery's or low paid
Yeah.
illegal immigrant workers are okay as long as you're thankful.
Yep. It's a repeat of what happened back in slavery. And I feel like we're going to get another civil war, or we might get another civil war because Democrats want to hold on to their slaves. Again, history's repeating.
And it's not,
just
and
a
you
different
know
type
what?
of slave.
Let's be clear. It's
not
not
the
just
same.
it's not just Democrats though. There are people on the right. There are
Yeah.
Republicans that like
Big
to
business.
have their cheap labor as well.
Big business.
Um, I would say the average Republican voter isn't like that.
No.
The right-leaning voter isn't like that.
But like the Republican senators and stuff
Yeah.
like that, some of these swampy, yeah. So I do, and we can wrap this part up, but I just want to say, I think what should happen is we should cut off federal aid to California for being a sanctuary state, like cut it all off. Like just, they get nothing. You want to run a state like that? Sure. The politicians, like the individual politicians who are blocking this kind of stuff, they should be arrested. Make an example out of them, because that sends more of a message. And it's not big masses of people being arrested. Just arrest the politicians, cut off the welfare, all the welfare benefits to all of these illegals, right? A lot of them will self-deport if you do that. Start going after the businesses that hire them. So there's things you can do without just sending in troops, right? Where you're not going to give them the camera shots of Black Hawks flying over crowds. That looks like a dictatorship. Go after the businesses, cut off the welfare. Trump has already done this. Incentivize people to leave. Hey, we'll give you a plane ticket and a small check, and you leave by yourself, and shut the border. Do those things. And then in red states, go crazy, because the red states will work with you and get them all out of the red states. But the blue states, you're not going to take it by force. You're going to give them what they want, which is videos of you, busting heads, which it's justified, but I think it's strategically a bad idea. That's my opinion.
I like this comment. They don't want illegals deported to Mexico, but they're waving Mexican flags.
I know, right? Yeah, it's crazy.
Like your country is so terrible, you have to stay in the U.S., but yet you have so much pride over your country.
By the way, for the record, I'm Mexican.
Yeah.
I'm Chicano from California, so I like, but deport them. Yeah.
Well, because of your views, you're white adjacent.
White
so you're
adjacent,
no longer,
right? Yeah, right.
you're revoked. All right. So the next thing we wanted to talk about was, oh my gosh.
Oh yeah, the Elon.
Yeah, the Trump-Elon drama and the big beautiful bill.
Okay.
So I knew that Trump and Elon were going to have beef. This was like
eventually.
It's just, I knew they're drama.
They're big personalities.
Big personalities, yes, and they're bridge burners.
Yeah.
They're the kind of people that when you're a bridge burner, by the way.
I am.
Yeah.
I am. I'm a radical.
Yeah. So when someone
when I say
the
be
line,
cautious, like
it's like,
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's done. I'm lucky to have still been married to him for 15 years. He's very committed to his marriage now.
I am. She's joking.
But I just keep him well fed.
This is true.
That's how I pacify my bridge burner. Anyways, so I knew there was going to be drama between them. Because here's the thing. Elon Musk wasn't a huge Trump supporter until like a couple months before Trump won.
Like a year ago.
Yeah, it wasn't like he's a baby. It's kind of like when you have a new Christian in the church, you don't give them the role of a pastor.
Yeah, it's a good point. Yeah.
And he received this huge role in the government, very enthusiastic about it. I do like the work that he did.
Zealous. Because
it's good to expose where our money is going. If you go to the Doge website, it's super cool. I wish we had something like that all the time, where we could see exactly where government grants are going, which we do. USA Gov grants or gov.org or USA spending.
There's supposed to be organizations that do it. It's like
and there is, but Doge made it very accessible. So there's people that know how to look up this stuff, and it's complicated, but Doge made it accessible to the American people to see, hey, where's our money going? What is it funding? So now they have this beef, and Elon Musk said that Trump was on the reason why the Epstein files aren't released. This is like the biggest accusation he has against Trump right now, is because Trump's there, which we already knew this. For one, we know that Trump brushed shoulders
He
with this
deleted
guy.
that, by the way.
Oh, he did?
Yeah, he
Interesting.
deleted
So
that.
we know that Trump brushed shoulders with Epstein, as everyone who had money and
At the
power
time,
during
yeah.
that time at the time. We also know that he banned him from Mar-a-Lago because he was flirting with underage girls or something like that. I personally believe that if there was implications that Trump was actually with underage girls, that the Epstein files would be released already. Like, we'd be knowing this because they have been trying to find the worst dirt on Trump for the last 12 years. But at the same time, I want them to be completely released. And here's the thing for me.
Well, it looks bad that they're not being released after that accusation.
Exactly. And also, if he happens to be implicated in those files as someone who was messing around with underage girls, that's when I will stop supporting him. But I need to see the evidence. I'm not just going to do hearsay. I'm not going to just do conspiracy theories. He's already said that he is in the files. I think he shared some of that when they did that really cornball redacted files with all of the influencers, like what's his name, DC Drano and stuff, where they had the files, but it was like not really them.
Yeah, that
right?
was a joke.
But
the folders.
But
Yeah.
there was, there was some truth in the fact that Trump is going to be in the files because he did have some run-ins with Epstein.
So here's another way to look at this, and we kind of didn't give the full picture of what happened between the two. Just jumped into that part.
Yes, it's true.
Well,
it's something I wanted to talk about.
I hear you. So here's kind of, a lot of people have been taking it as, because Elon did not specifically say Trump's was messing with underage girls. He didn't say that. Here's the dog, by the way. This is
Eli.
This is the sweetie.
Yeah.
He's a little sweetheart. Anyway, he didn't say that. To be fair, all he said was that he's in the files and that's why haven't been released. So it could be, and this kind of makes sense to me, this would be understandable. It could just be that because his name is in there, like, all right, he flew on this flight, whatever, but there's no evidence in the files that says he actually did anything wrong. It just looks bad that he's in there.
Everyone is in there, and that's where it's like, I want.
Can you think of it this way? Can you imagine Trump being how sensitive he is and being like, you know what I mean? Because the guy has such an ego. He's very sensitive. Mm-hmm. Can you imagine him saying, like, my name's in there, just let's not release any of these. These guys' names are in there. They're in it. They don't want them released. They don't want them released. I don't want them released. Even though I didn't do anything wrong, it makes me look bad. So let's forget it. What's the point? I could see that. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying that's what happened. I'm kind of speculating, but I could see that as.
Regardless, there's people I'm so tired of the cover up. I mean, it's like, so there was all these like rich creeps who were going to the Epstein Island. There was all these people going to the Diddy parties, but we're only catching the ringleader and that's it. And I'm just like,
this is very important.
What type of dog is Eli?
Very important.
He is 100% dingus is what we call him. He's a mix.
Full-blooded dingus.
Full-blooded dingus. We think he's got some Chihuahua. He's got a little long body.
I think he's like half wiener dog, maybe some terrier.
Yeah, we don't know. We want to get him a DNA test at some point.
He's a nut job.
I don't fully trust those either.
Yeah, he's
but a nut. Anyways, so the Trump Elon drama.
So can we go through the timeline really quick of what happened?
Yes.
So it started with Elon criticizing the bill, the big beautiful bill, right? And then Heinz 57, just like me and Collie, we're all mixed up. And then it moved on to Elon was retweeting quotes from Trump back before he was president, like 2012, where he was criticizing
big spending,
raising the debt ceiling. Yes. He was saying basically like any Republican who raises the debt ceiling should be kicked out of Congress, and all this stuff. And he was retweeting that, not yet being mean about it, but more just like, hey, what happened to this guy? This guy should run for president. He'd be incredible. Kind of slightly mocking, but more like poking. And then Trump went on. They interviewed Trump, and he said some personal. He made it a little personal. Said Elon's going crazy, and Elon is doing this. He's opposing the big beautiful bill because I kicked him out of government, and he wanted the EV tax credits. to stay, and I was getting rid of him. And so he was getting mad that that he's going to lose money for his companies. So to be fair, Trump made it personal first. That was a personal accusation, and I don't think that was honest. I voted for Trump 3 times. I like him, but if you remember during the primaries, when it comes to politics and his way, he will hit you hard, and he will say things even if they're not necessarily true to take you out. Like, remember what he said about Ben Carson? Oh my gosh, Eli looks really cute right now.
His face looks really big. It looks bigger than my face because of the perspective of the camera.
It's because he has great eyes.
Yeah, he looks huge. That is not how big he is.
Yeah,
he's way smaller.
He's like 17 pounds. Yeah. But like, you remember what he was saying about like little Marco? Like, he was hitting people with personal stuff. He said Ben Carson was in a cult. He said, what else did he say? I mean, lying Ted. He was accusing Ted Cruz of lying and putting his hand on the Bible. Like, he hits hard when it comes to politics. And I think that's what he was doing with Elon. And he was like, hey, this guy, he just wanted the EV tax credits. I think that was a lie.
See, I don't know. I don't agree. And we sometimes don't agree on
Okay, go
this.
ahead.
I can't see how Elon would not freak out about getting rid of those tax credits because those are so beneficial to his company.
But he said publicly to get rid of them
Well,
multiple times.
Even if he said it publicly, maybe he's just doing the lip service or whatever because he's the head of Doge. But like that, it's like $8,000 off of a Tesla or how much is it? 9,000. It's
7,500.
Yes, it's like your government is helping to pay for your car.
Yeah, it is. It is. I mean, maybe. I don't know. All I know is he said it repeatedly. Okay, here's the thing. All right, here's my argument.
And then what about the ketamine stuff?
Yeah, that was funny. Okay, here's my argument against that. If you think Trump was not lying about the EV tax credit with Elon, then you must be saying that Trump was lying before. Because a few months ago, Trump and Elon were in front of the White House with a bunch of Teslas, and Trump got gifted a red Model S. And at the time they were interviewing him, and Trump said, this Elon guy, he's a patriot. I don't even know if he's a Republican. He just cares about the country. Go watch the interview. He said, Trump says about Elon, I took away the EV tax credit, and Elon didn't say a thing to me. He didn't care. He was fine with it. So was Trump lying then, or is he lying now?
Well, maybe he wasn't mad because it didn't actually happen yet.
I think it's more likely that this is Trump doing lying Ted and hitting hard because it's politics, which people can get mad at. But at the end of the day, I think that's Trump's MO. And it doesn't mean that he's a bad guy. It just means he's playing politics is a dirty game. It is. Like, people don't want to do it because that's what happens. That's how you have to fight in politics.
Well, what annoys me the most about all of this is that we always have so much infighting on our side, and everyone always airs their fights. Like, and this is not just Trump. This is like all of the conservative commentators are constantly dragging each other, and you don't see that on the left right now. They're pretty good. I mean, I know they fight. I know there's drama, major drama on Democrats. Yeah, but yeah, exactly. If you fall out of line, you get kicked out, and you join. Like Tulsi joined our side, right? Like you just get completely iced out. RFK gone. Yeah. You're like dead to them if you don't stay within the little hub, right, of leftism. But speaking of Big Beautiful Bill,
that's a good question.
Oh,
I don't know. It maybe.
I don't know.
I've heard of that too. I don't know.
So speaking of Big Beautiful Bill, we also have a debate on this one as well.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's a lot of things I really like about the Big Beautiful Bill. I'm going to start with that. Mm-hmm. One, I like the Medicaid work requirement, and of course, the left is marketing this as he's going to make elderly work for their Medicaid. He's going to take away Medicaid from all of these people. And the reality is he's requiring those that are ages 19 to 60 who are able-bodied to work 80 hours a month in order to qualify for Medicaid. This does not include the elderly. This does not include the disabled, and it can include volunteer work, and it can include job training programs. This is very similar to what Clinton did in the late 90s with welfare reform. So so if someone loses their Medicaid that's in that age range, which many will, because it'll be because they don't want to work. It'll be because they don't want to actually get their life together, even though they're able-bodied, they're not mentally ill, they're not, I mean, there's all these provisions for it that you don't have to actually be a worker. You don't have to actually be, to get your Medicaid cut off, you don't have to work, right? And so there's all these provisions, but of course the left and Democrats and all of them, they're marketing as he's cutting Medicaid and people, so millions of people are going to lose their Medicaid. No, it's because there's going to be a work requirement for it, which I don't even know if this big beautiful bill is going to pass. I doubt it.
There's going to be changes before it passes.
So yeah, so it's 19 to 60 years old. Let me just reiterate, 19 to 60-year-olds who are able-bodied and who, they have to work 80 hours, which every month, which isn't even a full-time job. And it also can include volunteer work, and it can include job training and going to school. So I like that. I think that's a good thing.
Yeah.
I think that we need to help people in that age range who are able-bodied to get back on their feet and not just rely on government aid for everything, right? The other thing that I really like about the big beautiful bill is there is going to be a school choice tax exemption.
Oh, yeah.
So what this means is that if you donate, what this means is if you donate to go towards a child's school choice voucher, right? To go to a private school or to not go to public school, you will get a tax credit for that, as opposed to a tax deduction. That's huge. Like that is such a good thing for and then
they're going to make it, basically think of it as, if you want to, instead of just paying your taxes to the government, you can take a portion of it and donate it to either an educational foundation or like a private school of your choice, I guess. I'm not sure on the details, but somehow you can donate it to education instead of just sending it to the government. Send it to like a private school
to go towards scholarships and vouchers for so instead of the government funding vouchers, right, or using public school money to fund these vouchers, they're allowing the taxpayers to fund these scholarships. These scholarships for students, and you get a tax credit, which is amazing. And it's also really good for Joshua and I, because we have a fully accredited private school that I never advertise because I am burnt out and tired.
Yeah.
Anyways,
by the way, if you guys didn't know, we have a school.
Which you should. There's, most people who are really good at doing this kind of stuff, you'd be hearing about it all the time, but you probably hear about it from me once every 2 months.
Yeah. Go to thinkexodus.org.
Thinkexodus.org. K through 12, fully accredited. All of our teachers are well vetted. There's no woke stuff. It's education, not indoctrination. And you can check it out at thinkexodus.org. It's online. And so that's our school. So that's what I like about it. There's also some tax lowering of taxes in it. There's some good things, but there's some very concerning things that could really disrupt our economy, and Joshua can go into that.
Yeah, I've got some things that I mean, here's my thing about the bill, because a lot of people have because it's turned into a feud between Trump and Elon. They've taken like, are you team Elon or team Trump? And like, I think that's the wrong way to think about politicians. Politicians, like, I like Trump. Elon can be funny. Trump is hilarious. But at the end of the day, they are not our friends.
And they're also just men.
They're just humans.
They're going to make mistakes.
Right?
They're not perfect.
You can't, like, you just can't think of these people as your friends that you need to like be loyal to or not loyal to, right? You have to, like, I agree with Elon on the big beautiful bill in general. Like, I think I'm worried about the spending, and I'm worried about some of the other stuff in there, like the states are not going to be allowed to regulate AI for 10 years. And so you can have data centers, massive data centers, just put right next to your house. And a city cannot regulate the zoning to say, hey, this massive new data center for AI can't be right next to your house. Cities can't stop it. It'll be a federal thing where states can't stop it. Like, there's some problems with it, right? So I agree with Elon on the spending and on that kind of stuff, the spending too much. I disagree with Elon when it comes to tariffs. I agree with Trump on tariffs. I'm a tariff guy. A lot of people maybe not agree with me, but I love tariffs. I think they're as American as apple pie. That's one of the main reasons I became a Trump person back in 2015. So, but the point is, I agree with Elon on one thing, I agree with Trump on another. Like, you don't have to like, oh, I'm loyal to Trump only or Elon only, right? Like, just like you can agree to disagree on some of this stuff. That's my thing.
For me, with the big spending and the debt ceiling, right? Remember in the late 90s when our debt was starting to get out of control and it was like a big scary thing, and they were always scaring us about how we're just getting trillions into debt, and it's, they have the debt clock or the debt count, the debt, you could like go and see how much our debt is, and it was like there was like a fear mongering campaign about it. And then we've been going through it's been about 25 years since they started scaring us about that, maybe even 30. And I think a lot of people just don't really care anymore. They're just like, it's just a number, especially with cryptocurrency now. I think money has lost a lot of its value in our minds, and we're not worried about it. And I think that's part of the reason why people are kind of like, increase the debt ceiling, whatever. Even politicians, it's like the Democrats are going to do it, so we might as well do it while it's under our, and spend it on stuff that we want to spend it on, right? But it is going to eventually catch up to us.
And that's how it happens.
America's really strong, but
you can't do it forever.
Yes.
And we have lessons on this at our school. Carly did a lesson on what happened to Venezuela.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how it happens. Like, it happens where it's like, oh, we've been spending and who cares? It's never a problem. And eventually, just like out of nowhere, it's like, boom, and the inflation just through the roof, and the society collapses. We're talking mass starvation. We're talking people eating their pets. Mm-hmm. We're talking they go to the zoos to eat the zoo animals. The average Venezuelan losing like 20 to 40 pounds or something crazy. Like, you can't find toilet paper. Society collapses when the money is useless. And that's the kind of thing that I think we can't just, if it's not going to happen to us, it's going to happen to our kids, grandkids, right? And that's just irresponsible especially here's the biggest thing on this. We had literally the first maybe 2 months of the Trump administration of Doge. It was like a new headline every day. And did you know that the federal government sends $10 million to some kind of like play for LGBT in Guatemala, and they're doing Sesame Street in Saudi Arabia, and they're like, we're funding all of this stuff that we're like, what in the hell are we spending this money on? And that was happening for months. And then after that, it was like, oh yeah, by the way, we're not really going to cut anything. And
what Trump
we're going to
said,
actually raise the spending.
Yes.
That we're not going to make it lower. We're going to raise it.
But Trump has stated that the money is just going to be spent on better things, on things that will actually serve the American people instead of being sent overseas or whatever to these weird programs. So, I mean, there's that.
Some of that.
Yeah, there's that. So, yeah, there's a lot going on in this country right now.
Yeah.
And it has been so nice to just vent with you guys. We really want to keep doing this more regularly. We actually had an extremely stressful week. So the fact that we pulled this off to do a live with you guys just shows that we have no excuse, Josh and I, because normally we don't have weeks this stressful, and we still got on.
We had a very stressful week.
We still got on here with you. And I just want to thank you guys all for being here. And the more you watch my content, I can actually get monetized again, because they're making me get, I think, like 4,000 hours of watch time or 10 million views of shorts, which is ridiculous, in order to get monetized again, which would be nice because it is motivating to be monetized on YouTube. But also, I just no longer want to be censored. I'm just so tired of being censored. But it comes with the game of speaking the truth, and we're truth teachers, and truth gets censored a lot. So I just thank you guys for all being here. God bless you, and
we will do this more often.
We will. We said this last time.
Thank you, Robin. Part of the reason we're stressed is because we are moving to a place where we will be
having a studio. Which, by the way, I wanted to ask you. We've been having a debate about this today, actually.
Oh, you can't ask them right now while we're doing it like this. You know what they're going to say. They're going to say, "This is great." That's not fair.
Okay, but I think it's gonna work because Joshua and I were like, Joshua's like, well, normal podcasts, they don't actually talk to the people, they don't talk to the screen, they
talk a
face
little bit
each
to
other, and I'm like,
other
yeah, but we talk
and
to
a little bit to the screen.
Yeah, I like talking with you guys. I mean, I love talking with you, Joshua, but I do that all day. And I feel like just being able to interact with you guys and feeling like you're there and we're talking with you and we're having a discussion. I'm reading your comments. It's so much better than Joshua and I.
We don't really
facing
make
each
money
other.
on Twitter either.
Oh, I don't make money on social media.
I just got $26 from Twitter.
Yes. So to give you an idea of how much money I've made on social media, because we just did our taxes because we did them late, I make zero, and I have almost $400,000 followers on Instagram. I think I'm at 396K. I have like 260 here. It keeps going down because they demonetized me. TikTok, I've been banned 20 times, but I still have like 200,000 there. I don't get a single cent from any of those platforms because I've been demonetized. I've been censored. I get nothing. So if I made cooking videos or something, maybe I would be able to do that as my full-time job. But yeah. So that's part of the reason why we don't make as much content as we should, because it's not our full-time job. We actually both work outside of this.
Yes.
We have to survive.
That's what happens when you're not like a total sellout that's, willing to just like say whatever people tell you to say.
I think those sellouts get protected too.
Because they make a lot of money.
Like, and they can also say more things than I could say because they're protected.
Because you get into the in crowd.
Yeah.
We're not in the in crowd. And so we run a school and we actually do other work. And but we will be setting up a studio at the new place that we're moving to. And
I love cooking. I love cooking videos too. In fact, I should just.
Kylie's an amazing cook. You guys do not know. She is an amazing cook, and I've been pressuring her for a long time to do cooking videos.
But everyone already does that.
She's very healthy, but her stuff is different. I'm telling you, her stuff is different.
It's healthy but delicious.
Healthy but delicious.
Yes, we're both 43, so I think we can testify for how good.
She keeps me healthy.
Yes.
She keeps me healthy.
Yeah. Well, anyways, but thank you guys so much for being here, and God bless you. And we'll come back on again. This has been fun.
Yes.
Sadly fun because the world's going crazy.
Yeah.
But it's nice to be able to vent with you guys. All right.
All right. Have a good night. God bless.
God bless.